Donald Trump is a stooge for Hillary Clinton. He's a plant. He's a ringer to sink the chances of Republican candidates who actually have a chance of defeating Hillary.
We're a bunch of fools, and we're being led by a fool.
Hillary has already been chosen by the political elite to be the next president. Trump has no chance of defeating Hillary. That's why he's been catapulted to become the front runner in the GOP race. Shortly before Trump announced his decision to run, he received a mysterious phone call from Bill Clinton.
I didn't get a phone call from Bill Clinton before I jumped in the race. Did any of you get a phone call from Bill Clinton? I didn't. Maybe it's because I hadn't given money to the foundation or donated to his wife's Senate campaign.
As The Hill's Brent Badowski writes, if that phone call was about how Trump could act as a spoiler for the GOP race, Clinton would have told Trump to do everything that he's done since. Personally attacking other GOP candidates, alienating Hispanics, drowning out the message of new and fresh candidates. Check, check, check. Now look at the polls. Even at the height of his popularity and while Clinton is under FBI investigation, Trump trails Hillary 36 to 48%. He's still way behind. Whereas other GOP candidates like Scott Walker are tied in a hypothetical head-to-head with Hillary, but they're not going to get a chance to take her on. Until recently, Trump praised the Clintons, his longtime personal friends, every chance he got.
Hillary Clinton, I think, is a terrific woman. I mean, I'm a little biased because I've known her for years.
You support her?
I don't want to get into this because I'll get myself into trouble, but I just like her.
That's why I asked you to see me get into trouble.
I just like her. I like her and I like her husband. Hillary's always surrounded herself with very good people. I think Hillary would do a good job.
That's not surprising given his generous donations to Clinton's Senate campaigns and to the Clinton Foundation.
Actually, it was vintage Trump, you know. He has been, believe it or not, uncommonly nice to Hillary and me. He thought Hillary was a good senator for New York after 9/11.
Right.
And he is actually, he's one of the many Republicans who supported our foundation before they got the memo.
Not only has Trump bankrolled Hillary, he's also supported Democrats like Chuck Schumer, Harry Reid, and Anthony Weiner, amongst others. Now look at last night's debate. Everyone is attacking Fox News, calling them biased for baiting Trump. Really? Fox just gave Trump the opportunity to do what he does best, fire back with witty retorts and turn the whole spectacle into the Donald Trump show. Trump got way more talk time than anyone else, and more than double the time that Rand Paul got. Trump is the Teflon candidate. His support only increases when he's attacked. Megyn Kelly handing Trump the chance to make politically incorrect statements only boosted his populist street cred. Notice how Fox failed to nail Trump on his key weakness, the fact that he's flip-flopped on just about every issue imaginable.
Well, I'm very pro-life and feel strongly about it. I'm very pro-choice.
It was left to Carly Fiorina to call Trump out during the earlier debate that hardly anyone even watched.
Since he has changed his mind on amnesty, on health care, and on abortion, I would just ask, what are the principles by which he will govern?
And yes, in many ways Trump is likable. He's a great public speaker. He makes populist statements that other politicians are afraid to say. But I think we've been down that road before, and it didn't turn out so good.
Yes, we can.
Trump's whole shtick is posing as an anti-establishment candidate, but his cozy relationship with the Clintons clearly suggests he's the opposite of that. And he's serving to eclipse the campaign of the only real anti-establishment candidate in the race, Rand Paul.
He buys and sells politicians of all stripes. He's already, hey, look, he's already hedging his bet on the Clintons, okay? So if he doesn't run as a Republican, maybe he supports Clinton, or maybe runs as an independent. Okay. But I'd say that he's already hedging his bets because he's used to buying politicians. Well,
Trump is also the only candidate who refuses to rule out going third party, just as Ross Perot's third party run in 1992 ended up helping, you guessed it, the Clintons. The message is clear for conservatives. If you want Hillary Clinton to become the next president, then carry on supporting Donald Trump.
How do we let him get away with it, folks?
Long before Hillary Clinton testified at Benghazi hearings or battled Donald Trump,
she defied the traditional role of First Lady to become a major political player.
Anyone who knows my husband and knows me knows that we've been having this conversation about what should be done in this country for more than 20 years. He's the one who's elected. He's the one who has to make the final decision. But I care about what he does, and I care about what happens, and I want to participate.
Her college classmates might have seen it coming. In 1969, Hillary took the stage as graduation speaker at Wellesley College, the first time a student was chosen to impart her words of wisdom to the 400 or so grads at commencement.
She is a major in political science and a candidate for the degree with honors. She is also cheerful, good-humored, good company, and a good friend to all of us. And it is a great pleasure to present to this audience Ms. Hillary Rodham.
It was a speech that foreshadowed her drive as First Lady.
Fear is always with us, but we just don't have time for it. Not now.
Decades later, she ruffled feathers with her refusal to sit on the sidelines.
Bill Clinton is running hard for the presidency, but his wife Hillary, an attorney and an advocate for various causes, seems to be running as hard as he is.
I suppose I could have stayed home and baked cookies and had teas, but what I decided to do was to fulfill my profession, which I entered before my husband was in public life.
She's less a spouse than a running mate. Her assertiveness makes some voters uncomfortable.
I feel that she's the power behind the throne.
I think she's a very aggressive woman. She's overly ambitious.
We elected Bill Clinton, not Hillary.
I think she has a little bit too much power for a president's wife.
The power that she has bothers me a lot.
You do have considerable influence, and some people say that there are Americans who don't feel totally comfortable with that because they're not sure how much influence you have. And after all, you were not elected. How much influence do you have?
I don't know that I have any more influence than anybody else who is an advisor to the president.
As First Lady, Clinton tried and failed to revamp the healthcare system.
I know from my own experiences and from the conversations I've been privileged to have with thousands of our fellow citizens across this country that something is wrong with our healthcare system and that it needs to be fixed.
The critics of Hillary Care were just as vocal as those of Obamacare. And Clinton was criticized for trying to engineer her health care reform plan without input from Congress.
Health care reform had been on life supports for weeks. Today it fell to Senate Majority Leader George Mitchell to officially pull the plug. Under constant attack from critics, support for the package dropped steadily. Opposition increased. Key players say everyone is to blame for the death of health reform. The president, Mrs. Clinton, Democratic and Republican leaders in Congress.
Your husband has had a tough time lately in terms of the public perception. There are some people who believe, had you not been in charge of health care, some of these embarrassing fiascos wouldn't have happened.
I am very committed to doing what he's asked me to do, which is to work on health care. And, you know, a lot of these other matters are ones that, you know, things happen. You know, people make mistakes.
She also took her policymaking ambitions abroad, denouncing human rights abuses against women at a 1995 UN meeting in Beijing.
If there is one message that echoes forth from this conference, let it be that human rights are women's rights and women's rights are human rights once and for all.
But Clinton's time as First Lady was also often marred by controversy, and her detractors covered everything from the political to the personal.
With all of this talk of subpoenas, a key White House resignation over the weekend, a Republican suggesting impeachment, the president vigorously defending his wife, the core questions remain tonight. What is under investigation and why?
The committee's report makes it clear this administration believed evasion and obstruction were more important than the truth. The administration was involved in a highly orchestrated effort to keep the facts from the American people in the intricate web of deceit and abuse of power that is Whitewater.
I just wanted to comment that there's been one central figure that has been a major player in all three phases of this investigation, from the Vince Foster hours after his death to the Washington investigation to the events in Arkansas. And that one person has been Hillary Rodham Clinton.
There was the Whitewater scandal, which led to an investigation by a special prosecutor into a series of real estate transactions long before the Clintons were in the White House.
The question now, was it ethical for Hillary Clinton and her law firm to represent the SNL before a state regulator appointed by her husband?
Do you know of any money that could have gone from Madison to the Whitewater Project or to any of your husband's political campaigns?
Absolutely not. I do not.
And of course, there was her ever-scrutinized decision to stand by her husband, despite his affair with White House intern Monica Lewinsky.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
So if what you have heard is something you can believe, and if what the president has told the nation is the whole truth and nothing but the truth,
Right.
then you'd have to agree that this is the worst and most damaging smear of the 20th century.
The great story here, for anybody willing to find it and write about it and explain it, is this vast right-wing conspiracy that has been conspiring against my husband since the day he announced for president.
In a deposition in January, I was asked questions about my relationship with Monica Lewinsky. While my answers were legally accurate, I did not volunteer information. Indeed, I did have a relationship with Miss Lewinsky that was not appropriate.
She has been silent about this topic for months. Now Hillary Clinton is speaking out about the state of her marriage. The First Lady blamed her husband's problems on childhood abuse, saying everybody has some dysfunction in their family. They have to deal with it. You just don't walk away if you love someone. You help the person.
Democratic pollster Mark Mellman says Mrs. Clinton's popularity has skyrocketed as America watches her handle a scandal that would tear most families apart.
She's smiling, she's holding his hand. I mean, that takes a lot. I have a great deal of respect for Hillary Clinton.
Hillary is hurting right now, and she needs all the support that she can get.
Based on what you know now, 5 years after coming to Washington, the personal attacks, the political attacks, do you sit home at night and think it's worth it?
It is worth it. Now, do I wish that we didn't live in a time where people were so malicious and evil-minded? Of course, but you know, that's human nature. So you take the good with the bad, and the good has far, far outweighed any bad at all.
Taking criticism from all sides as an unconventional First Lady forced Hillary Clinton to develop thick skin, something she's drawing on in 2016 as she becomes the first woman to be nominated by a major party for president.
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here, and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.
Here at World 5, we aren't biased. We simply report the facts. And the fact is, Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump used to be friends. Even though both families are from New York, and even though they have a strong presence in business and politics, we can all agree that Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump are two completely different people. Coming up, we have a look at their views, their different supporters, and the way that they want to create a different future for America. Join us as we have a look at how Hillary and Trump used to actually be friends. Now, this is certainly a rocky friendship, but it has definitely seen better days in the past. Proof number 1. You know, Donald Trump has been uncommonly nice to Hillary and me. We're all New Yorkers, and I like him, and I love playing golf with him.